Thanks for coming to watch this video today. We're going to be following around Ed Carrington at his new development, The Ribbon. Here we go. Before we get into the day, let's talk about the property. Before Ed was allowed to develop on this site, it previously was a Charter One bank. Ed's now developing 18 total units, 14 of which will be reserved for people who have 80% or lower average income in that area. And there's also going to be a favorite dumpling spot in the commercial space below these apartments. Now, let's start with the day.
Because, general contractors, try to screw people out of money. So people started using the term construction manager. Okay. Which basically means you're doing it open book. So
what's going on, everybody? Eddie Carrington, mayor of Flux City, and I'm standing in front of my project called The Ribbon on East Warren, which is in East English Village, and we are converting this site from an old bank to a 3-story mixed-use facility. We're going to have a restaurant on the first level. We're going to have 18 apartments up top, all affordable, and we're going to show you around.
Our main runs of our power right now, that's going to each unit, getting ready to start putting our main panel in for our electric. So those are all our home runs to every unit.
At this point in the walkthrough, the main contractor is speaking with us about their next steps. Their number one focus at the moment is the windows, and unfortunately the weather in Michigan wasn't allowing for them to caulk and install these windows. He also talks a little bit about the concrete placement and when that will happen.
My name is Ian. I'm the project manager here at The Ribbon. This is, right now we're standing in the elevator and stairway area. So right here, we've got our elevator shaft, no elevator in it right now. And then these are just the stairways to get to the different residential units. Right now we're on the 3rd floor. If we were to take the stairs up, which we probably will, that takes us to the roof. So that's the only roof access here. But elevator shaft here, and then if you look down this way, that's your main hallway that accesses all of your residential units on the 3rd floor.
At this point in the tour, Ian decided to take us upstairs to check out the roof. In this part of the video, he's going to talk about the steel foundation and the framing they used around it to make this building durable forever.
Original steel structure before all the wood framing was here. We built from steel in the center area of the building from the ground up. So we pour concrete footings, set our steel on top of that, and everything comes and builds up all the way to the roof. So our large RTUs and HVAC equipment will sit on this frame here that you see in the center. And then once all the steel was in, that's when all the wood framing was kind of built in around it. And so that's what this structure is. It's got a steel center, kind of like a steel spine, if you will. And then the wood framework is built all around it. And
Nice.
everything sits on that. And then of course, it also rests on the CMU brick wall on the 1st floor. So it's kind of the CMU and steel base, and then all of your wood framing is built on top.
After listening to Ian speak about the roof, we decided to snoop through some of the residential units. Ian talks to us about the handicap accessibility and some of the unique things they did when it comes to building these residential units.
You have to have grab bars that are accessible. Same thing in your kitchen. Same thing with all of your areas, laundry area, bathroom area, obviously your bedroom, your kitchen area. You just have to have larger turn radiuses. This is mostly to accommodate folks who might be in wheelchairs, stuff like that.
After the tour was over, we all went over to Morningside Cafe to chat. I was able to sit down with Eddie and ask him some questions about getting to the point that he's at today.
Eddie Carrington once again, and just giving you a little bit about, I guess, the journey of how I was able to get to this point of developing an $8.2 million project on East Warren here in Detroit. I actually started off investing in single family properties and doing fix and flips. And I basically learned how to do the fix and flip investments through people who worked at the big 3. When I worked at the bank, I actually had a lot of clients that looked at real estate as their primary source of retirement, not their 401k, not their pension. They looked at real estate as retirement income. And so, basically seeing them be successful at purchasing properties, fixing them up, and renting them out kind of gave me motivation to try my hand at getting into the real estate business in the early 2000s. I never really looked at real estate as a primary business. I always looked at it as a side hustle because that's how the individuals who motivated me to get into the real estate realm looked at it as well. Fast forward to roughly 2017, 2018, I started getting introduced to a lot of these larger real estate developers in the city of Detroit that actually looked and talked like me. So Richard Hosey, Cliff Brown, Roderick Hardiman, for an example. These are individuals that are tackling very large projects in the city of Detroit, not just single family properties, but we're talking, 18, 20, 100 unit projects. And when I saw them doing what they were doing, I said, you know what, how come I couldn't do that as well? So I started looking into other opportunities to gain knowledge in the commercial real estate realm, and came across the Better Buildings, Better Blocks initiative, which eventually introduced me to the Capital Impact Partners Equitable Development Initiative, that really taught me real estate from a master class perspective. They went over so much, I guess, detail on how to get a project from idealization to completion from the commercial side. And that gave me the motivation to submit an RFP on the project that I'm developing now, ultimately having an opportunity to win that RFP, which obviously is not the end of it all, because once you win a project, you still have to go through the process of pre-development, putting together your capital stack, making sure that the environmentals are where they need to be, working with the community to make sure that the community is in agreement with what you're building. I do feel that the city of Detroit is probably one of the best places to be when it comes to being a minority developer. There are so many different programs and initiatives that are designed to really help us level up in the real estate game, from Capital Impact Partners EDI program to Better Buildings, Better Blocks. There are different funding partners that are looking for minority developers to once again fund if you have the right project. Once again, the city of Detroit is probably the best kept secret when it comes to development, when it specifically for minority developers, due to the fact that there are so many different opportunities for us to have access to. But it's also important to note that development is probably one of the hardest things to do when it comes to real estate, because there are so many different layers and levels that you have to climb, and so many different partners that you have to work with, so many different hats that you have to wear, which is why I call myself a mayor, right? I call myself the mayor of Flux City. And that's because of the fact that you are engaging with so many different stakeholders throughout the duration of the project. And at the end of the day, if you were to break down the amount of time you put into a project versus the developer fee that a lot of developers tend to think that we'd be able to live off of, the hourly wage is pretty low, right? But the long-term focal point for us as developers here in the city specifically is appreciation, right? We're looking at these projects that we're developing to appreciate and value. They may not necessarily be worth a ton from day one, but hopefully that revenue that we're generating from those projects cover the debt service, and we eventually have an opportunity to increase the value of that project as the rates increase in one format or another, giving us an opportunity to see value long term from that project at the end of the day.